Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here, the host of the System Simplified podcast, where I feature top founders, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And today's episode is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group, where we create, document, optimize, and implement processes and procedures so businesses can grow and thrive. And today's guest is Ghazenfer Mansoor. Hi, Ghazenfer.
Hi, Adi. Nice to have you.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much for being a guest. So, Ghazenfer, you have quite a bio. I'm going to have you introduce some of it, but I'm going to do the overall introduction. So you are a software engineer by trade, right? And you have a software development firm that works with entrepreneurs to bring solutions to automation, to workflows, and you work with the entrepreneurial community in order to make their business more productive and more efficient. I know there is more to the story. You were originally from, or you are originally from Pakistan, and you came to the United States in 1999. And now you reside in Virginia, have a very successful company. So tell me more, tell the listeners more about yourself, about your story. How did you get to where you are today?
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Adi. Thanks for having me. As you mentioned, I grew up in Pakistan. I did my early education in Pakistan. I got my degree, and in 1999, I moved to United States. It was a dot-com time. I learned Java. I learned Java in my university project, so that was very demanding, and that helped me got to the United States. And then as I joined different companies, worked on different projects, smaller and bigger companies, I experimented many different things. I worked with two startups as an early engineer. I worked with government contracting company like Veterans Affairs, EPA. I worked on some corporations projects. So learned the different flavors, and that helped me understand the business and approaches that companies and people are using in building these products. And that also became the basis of my own business. So along the way, I also had a recruitment software startup, and that also gave me a more understanding of how the products are built. And in 2015, I started this business.
Okay, what inspired you to start your business?
Looking back, many times you cannot connect the dots looking forward. Looking back, I think I could come up with many different reasons. I think the bigger one for me was the flexibility and independence. Obviously, it comes with its own challenges, but the flexibility was the biggest thing for me. I wanted to have my own schedule. I wanted to be able to attend, for example, my kids' back to school nights and all the other activities. But when you're working for somebody, that is very limiting. Money is also the factor many times. When you have your own, when you have a full control, you can grow the businesses, go to any limits. Obviously, sky is the limit, and you're not being controlled by whatever the limits that are being defined many times by the employers.
Absolutely, I agree. Okay, so you specialize in developing software for custom software, basically for businesses, for entrepreneurs.
Right.
And this is a question that I'm sure a lot of our listeners have: is when should they develop their own software, and when should they actually use off-the-shelf solutions?
Okay, so
so
there is no easy answer. So it's like many things. Like, do you buy your own thing? Do you pick up existing one? You have to customize it. there are many challenges, pros and cons of, on either approach. So the way we look at it, we always said try with something which you have, because you don't want to be building something that's already exist. And then once you're using it and you get to a stage where the software is not fulfilling your need, that may be the time. Then secondly, it also depends on your goal. It depends on the direction you want to do, because there are times when the competing software exists or there are others that you could use, but is it giving you a benefit in your business? Like, so for example, we work with service businesses, help them improve their operations through AI and technology. We'll help them be 10x in their businesses. Most service businesses valuations are very low, like 1x, 2x, 3x. And there are certain times it could be higher, but in most cases, the values were like very low of the EBITDA. Now, you don't have a tech in it. So if you have an IP, if you have a defensible IP, suddenly that could be 15x, 20x, 30x, because then you can bring efficiencies and you can be pretty big. So that's how you can do 10x in your business. So many times the tools are already there are many other tools, but what you can do that can bring efficiency. So the specific goals also. Sometimes customer people will look at it like, yes, I want to solve my own problem, but I want to productize it and help and solve this for others as well. When when I personally worked on that recruitment software, there were existing tools that were available, but they may not be right for the certain types of company. They may also bring some complication, and sometimes they get too expensive to the level that you want. So there are probably hundreds of reasons people want to build their own things.
Right. So if you had to summarize, or let's talk about the main pros and cons of having your own software, what would you say are the pros of creating your own software, creating a customized software for your business? What would you say are the advantages or the pros?
The biggest advantage is the IP, the asset. Now you have your own tech, which you own, and the valuation of that is pretty high. So that increases the value of your business. Second, you get a control. You can build the features that you want or that your customers are asking. You have to look at your workflows, which of the workflows are costing you a lot. Let's say for a certain type of stuff, you may have a lot of people that may be needed to do a certain job, and that's costing you a lot. There are certain things that maybe once a year or once every other year, you don't care, even if that means it's costing you a lot. But is it being repeated? Anything that you have to do multiple times, that's a repetitive stuff. So, and then that repetitive stuff, if you're doing it again and again and doing it in a costly way, obviously that's costing you. So wherever you can optimize, when you're working with the existing software, the priorities may be different because those features may not be available. And we come across these all the time. Like we are talking, like even the tool that we are using, many times you're requesting certain features. But well, this is a great feature, but it's not in our priority because not every customer is asking for it. So having your own would give you a lot more control on the software.
Got it. So those are some of the advantages. What are the disadvantages or the challenges that people should be aware of when they are looking at getting their own software?
Oh, the cost is a big one. The software development is not easy. So the cost is pretty, and then not everybody knows how to build the product. So you could go into a wrong direction. You may be building thing that you may be using not that often. So it's a complicated. Knowing how to build the product is key. Having the right people, and obviously the cost is big. And gradually, it can add up. So you have to look at your ROI. How this software can bring efficiency for your processes, and sometimes even though the outside software may not be doing everything, but from a cost perspective, it does make sense because it's not feasible always to build your own product.
Okay,
So
good.
the
Any
bottom
other?
line is you have to look at the ROI.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So any other considerations or disadvantages that you see for, or like when somebody somebody needs to know about when they actually go and decide on their own software?
Yeah, so the way we look at it, we don't look at it as, oh, whether somebody should be building their own versus picking up the existing, because that may even be the wrong direction to start with. So usually we look at it like, what exactly is the problem? What is the pain point? And maybe the pain point could be solved by using the existing software and then gradually do the integrations. And then you bring in, let's say, I'll give you example. So for example, there are a lot of tools for project management. You have a Monday.com, Jira, and all of those. A lot of those different have APIs as well. So let's say if you're solving a certain problem, you may use their API to extract some data and create some kind of dashboard. And for example, you have a lot of customers and you want to create a customer dashboards to show the data that's pulling from all these different tools. Yeah, there's our dashboarding software as well, but just for the sake of this example, let's assume you need to pull the data from all those 20 different places and do some activities. So you could be building one tool that could pull the data and push the data into these different systems. So you're not building a whole thing. And then you gradually see now you're getting to a state, you can solve this one. Okay, now we may need to build just one custom piece. So gradually the direction is you build one piece at a time. You don't want to be building the whole system at once and then make it a big complicated system that by the time you finish it may get obsolete because things are changing so quickly and new things are coming. So many times there is integration and many of the projects are actually going to be just good by just being doing the integration.
Right. So you're basically saying take something like Monday.com, integrate it with maybe another software that you're using in order to manage the business, integrate it with some spreadsheets that you have where you're keeping the data, maybe with your CRM, and just make sure that everything integrates together.
Yes, and then a lot of people don't know the product development part. So many times the requirements are not clear. So the first step is you have to start using something so that at least you can start getting a clarity of what you even want. Because once you define everything and you say, well, now I cannot get this X thing done. Now, even do you really need to build the custom software just for that one thing? It depends on the goal. It depends on the specific direction you want to do. Maybe certain things are good with just integration. Certain things may or may not be.
Good. So you
But
help the companies
go ahead.
decide what integration they need, if they need integration.
Yeah, absolutely. So the key part for us is solving the problem. It's not about, oh, just building just because, developers love to build. So you tell them you want to build, let's say, just as an example, you say, well, I want to do this specialized or different type of calendar. Developers can always build it. Okay, as long as it's technically possible, they love to build it. So, okay, it took 2 months to build that specialized calendar. What if there was a way that 80% of that thing could be done existing way? And then maybe the ROI is more on that using that 20% in a different way rather than just building a custom one. So we look at it, what specific problem is and how we can solve that problem.
Makes sense. Totally makes sense. So give us some examples of specific problems that you helped solve for other companies.
Yeah, that would be tough to share. So many different. So for example, I'll give some high level problems so that so for example, we work a lot with the healthcare. So that's majority of our business, helping healthcare companies improve their operations. Part of that is in one case, we're working with a company that works with Medicaid. Medicaid has a very complicated rules when it comes to creating, when it comes to billing, when it comes to how the services are being used. A lot of audits, a lot of compliance requirements. So whenever there are compliance requirements, you have to maintain a lot of different type of paperwork, a lot of details. And then especially when it comes to the patient's data, then you also have other HIPAA-related compliance as well. So now part of that process is if you look at any of the existing tools, you're not going to find anything because yes, the tools are probably doing more broader thing. Oh, they could have a HIPAA compliance, but the HIPAA is more from their perspective, maybe just the storage, encryption. But it's way more than just the encryption or storage of the data. So in order to solve those compliance problem, we helped this company build a custom tool to improve their operation. That include, let's say, the log nodes, the treatment plans, the auditing, how the whole workflow, but like when you onboard a customer up until they get paid, or once you finish business with that customer. There are a lot of complicated workflows because if you're doing it wrong, you're not going to get paid from Medicaid. And another one, it's a remote patient monitoring. So patients are, you're collecting the data for patients through through these cellular devices like the scale, the blood pressure. All those entries are getting pushed to the cloud and the doctors can see it. Once the doctors look at it, they can not only look at the data, but they can also bill, and that could increase the reimbursement for those doctors, and that another revenue avenue for those for the providers. So many different use cases like that.
Excellent. Now you're also in the process of writing a book.
Yeah.
What is your book about?
So I'll go back to when you asked me about the early part, and that'll give you the background of why I'm writing a book. So I came to United States in 99. In 2000, I joined a company in Virginia, and they got a project from a European telecom, Sonorazed, to build wireless communities. So that was 2000. Remember the phones? It was very tiny phone, like the very limited Nokia phone. You could do certain things, but even at that time, we built that community. Based off of that, they saw the opportunity and created a wireless accelerator group that became another wireless startup, which was to build and manage wireless, the mobile apps. So along the time, build an app for Palm to control home appliances through your Palm device. I don't know. The Palm is not around. I don't know if you remember Palm devices. So a lot of experiments. So that was the early part of the iPhone and all of those. So it was an interesting time. So I did some projects. I got involved in mobile pretty early. We built the mobile platform that would do something like BlackBerry Enterprise Server, like the Apple App Store, the permission, all of those things. We did that early 2000 time, but the devices were not ready because if you don't have a carrier on board, you're not going to be. It's not easy to penetrate in the mobile market. So at that time, you're building a software, but if AT&T is not taking you or Verizon, it's really hard to succeed. So again, obviously Apple solved that problem. So not only a great product, but also the approach. So that's all. When iPhone launched, AT&T was the first one. So that's where the AT&T went up high as well in terms of. So along this time, so as the Apple iPhone came, Android came, the involvement in mobile obviously continued to increase because I started involved in mobile a long time ago. So that's how we got more and more into mobile. So when we started this business in 2015, we started as a mobile app development company. So a lot of mobile applications. So along those in the last 20 years, learned a lot on the mobile side. So that became the basis of this book. The book title is Free App Promotion: Different Strategies to Outgrow Your Mobile App Reach. So how do you build the apps? It's not about just building an app, but how do you build the app so that it also scales? So it solves the problem. So building the right app, how do you market it? So it talks about all the different strategies that could be used to build the app.
Interesting. I know that's definitely a topic that is very important to know about because we all have ideas for apps and we want to create apps. So I think that will be great. I'm looking forward to reading that book and getting more data. So Ghazenfer, if people want to hear more about, learn more about you, want to get in touch with you, what's the best way of doing it?
So I think my website, technologyrivers.com. I think that you can share the link afterward, but you can see on my background as well. So technologyrivers.com. So there's a lot of information on that where you can find out what we do, what kind of different services, what the projects we have done, how our customers are talking about us. So pretty much all the details. And I can also share the link to my URL. My name is, it's difficult, but at the same time, it's easy. The benefit is if you search my name, you'll only find one.
That's definitely an advantage. The same with me. So I understand. Well, Ghazenfer, it's been a pleasure having you here on this podcast and discuss technology, discuss the advantage and disadvantage of having your own custom software. You gave us very good information. So thank you so much for being a guest.
Thanks for having me. Really excited to have you.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.